Hey, this is Eric from Obsessive Audio and SikTone DSP, and today we want to show you the new SikTone delay plugin called Space Invader. Explain how it works, try to explain what's going on under the hood, and give you a walkthrough of the controls and how you would set it up. Before we even do that, let's go over to SikTone.com, which is where you can get the plugin. SikTone.com, here's Space Invader. There's also Attitude EQ, totally worth checking out. These are free plugins, free to download and use. We have the Windows VST and VST2 and VST3, also the Mac AU. And when you download these are going to be zip files containing folders. You want to unzip that whole folder to wherever you keep your VST or your AU plugins, and that's how you install it. You should be good to go from there. Now, as far as the plugin, it was inspired by the 70s and 80s delay units, like the Roland Space Echo, Electro Harmonix Memory Man, Ursa Major Space Station, and the idea was to give something a little bit atypical, a little bit wild, something capable of extreme tones if you want, but something unique, something where when you open it up and you play with it, you're maybe not sure what you're going to get. And it's not going to sound like most other delay units. And that's in part because this actually has 6 delay lines inside of it under the hood here. So if you can see the controls, which look quite substantial, but under the hood there's even more going on. So there's 6 delay lines. There's 3 for the left, and then there's another 3 for the right. And you got to look at them as like chains. So delay 1 goes into the delay 2, goes into delay 3. So that one's on the left, 1, 2, 3. And on the right, you've also got the exact same chain configurations. Delay 1 goes into delay 2, goes into delay 3. And you got a tap section right here, which is basically like the heart of the plugin, really, where you can tap into the first delay, the second, or the third. So let's say you wanted only the first delay. That's going to be a straight up echo delay that we're all used to. Tap 2, when you bring it in, that's going to have delay 1, but also your second delay on top of that in serial. So it's going to start to get longer and a little more complex. And then the same thing when you go to tap 3, it's going to start to get quite a bit longer and quite a bit more diffuse with a lot of activity going on. Now, these delay times are predetermined in terms of multiples. You can set the delay time for tap 1, and you do that over here with your delay time. So we'll get to that in a bit. But once you've set that delay time, tap 2 is going to be a multiple of time to that, and also tap 3, and that multiple actually is phi, the golden section. And the reason for that is because if you're at shorter delay times, that's going to really help you to reduce resonance. And if you get into longer delay times, some of these ambient soundscapes, which seem to be people already, they're loving this for ambient music and that sort of thing. And it's going to make almost a seemingly random soundscape where things sort of pop out, but nothing is particularly stepping on. The delays don't step on each other, and so that's why that multiple is in play there, to keep things moving along at a good distributed rate. The same thing also happens with the modulators, and we'll get to that. But so 6 delay lines, 3 for the left, 3 for the right, serial, where you can tap in at each point, and you've also got a master trim here. And in each of the delays, and each of the 6 delays have their own modulator with a rate and range. And again, this is one master rate where you're setting the rate and the range just for the first one, and then the consecutive modulators are subject to that golden section in terms of the rate. If that makes any sense at all. I mean, I know it's confusing. This was a very hard plugin to make, and the video is proving to be just as hard, but just, use your ears and trust the system, I guess. So your basic controls would be like your bypass control here, this little green guy, input level, output level, dry level, wet level. You can send the dry level to the filters, which are over here, high pass and low pass filters. Which of course there's 6 filters, one for each of the delay lines. So again, when you're moving this one knob, that's actually changing the cutoff for 6 different filters for each of the delays. And the same with low pass. Where there's actually 7, because there's one for each delay and for the dry. So if you choose to send the dry through the filter, you can do that. Because some people wanted to run this as just not even as a delay. They wanted to run it as a tone box. So they just turned the wet all the way down. And I got requests where it's like, hey, can we just use the saturator? Can we just use the filter? I'm like, yeah, sure you can. And then you can put it like that. You get the saturator. You can get the filter there. And you can just run it as a distortion box. I guess I'm all over the place here, but that has to do with the saturation section. Anyway, let's go back to the delay lines here. So delay left and delay right. That sets the first delay time for your left chain and your right chain. You can make those start at the same place by hitting this L equals R. When that's lit up, left and right will start at the same place. So you can actually achieve a mono delay by just going with that first tap and not including this other stuff. But once those multiples kick in, you will start to get some stereo effect. There is a 4 times switch here, which will give you longer delay time and increases delay time by 4. So you get some really long echoes and repeats and soundscapes by doing that. Crossfeed, where this sends the left delay line into the right, or vice versa, the right into the left. And sometimes you're going to want that if you set these times differently and it's decaying in a way that you don't feel as balanced. You can sort of correct that here. Or also you can get some very cool bouncing kind of effects here. RT60, which of course is the feedback for the whole, is a master feedback for all of the 6 delay lines. All the way down, it's just going to be 1 repeat for each of the delay lines. And all the way up, that's full on feedback. And it gets really loud. There's no saturator or limiter built in there. So if you've got this cranked up all the way, it's going to get really loud. Usually that is mitigated by the saturation sections. And also there's a clipper a soft clipper on the wet, which helps it from getting totally out of control. But you do want to be conscious of levels when you have RT60 up all the way. But that's also where a lot of the cool stuff lives. So now, delay right, we covered that. There's also 4 times there. Oversampling, 2 times 4, 8, 16, 32. Different schemes, different methods, FIR or IIR, different orders for choosing what kind of oversampling filter you want to have. High pass filter controls all the delays, high pass, low pass. Modulator rate should be self-explanatory, but of course the modulators, 6 different modulators for each of the delays. And you can hit the 4 times, go really fast. Same with the range, you can hit 4 times and get these really incredible sweeps. The dry can be sent to the filter, to the saturation, and it can be sent to the master clipper so that you don't go over 0 if you're using this to get really distorted sounds. That can be really helpful. And I think, this little mod switch here by the low pass filter, you can modulate all of the filters. And that can give you some very cool effects. Saturation section, there's 10 different saturation algorithms to choose from. Overdrive, blue driver, etc. Inspired by pedals mostly. There's a few that are Invader. That's one of my favorites. There's a few that are pretty crazy, like bent and broken. Those have crazy amounts of even order harmonics and that sort of thing. And some of them can kind of sound digital, a bit crushy. Now again, when you've got the saturators work on each of the 3 taps. So when you've got RT60 cranked up really high, the saturator's got like a combination of harmonic generation and also some hard clipping in it. So you can get this thing really loud, and it might seem like, oh, the saturation all of a sudden is sounding kind of quiet in comparison. And that's where down here where the saturation headroom comes in. And you can dial a bit more headroom if you want a bit more level out of the saturator, or you can pull it down all the way and get some really like kind of gnarly effects as well. So, I mean, it's really probably best to do another video with some examples of how this would be used. I think I've covered everything. There's a soft switch here, actually. I did not cover that. The soft switch simply mutes things. Whenever you change the saturation knob, it's going to just mute the output for a little while and then gradually fade it back in. And the reason for that is because a couple of these saturation algorithms are like way out there, like bent, for instance, broken. They generate a ton of even order harmonics, and in some settings it's usually not a problem, but in some settings it can create an audible pop, and this mitigates that quite a bit. Not 100%, by the way. Like, these things are pretty hard to control. So, but you might want to use the soft switch if you're getting extreme with those modes of the distortion. Other than that, I mean, I hope this isn't more confusing than helpful. But I'm going to review this video, and if it looks good enough for me, I'm putting it up, all right? Okay, so I will see you later.